I didn't realize that was her. That's her son. I did not know that.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I found that out today.
So the Tien actor is actually her son.
Yes.
That's
really cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either until today. She was like, "Oh yeah, my son," and they pointed over to him. She's like, "Yeah, he's actually my son."
That's funny.
Like crazy.
But I also have Yu Yu Hakusho, which she was in Hakusho too. So
Okay.
old anime from the 90s. Like I say, I'm old.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we have Miss Linda Young here, and then we have John Burgmeier here from Dragon Ball Z.
Woo!
I'm super excited to talk to them. Feel free to raise your hand, ask them questions. They love responding, especially John. He loves to talk.
Big talker
The
here.
big talker, okay? So we're gonna hand it over to John and let him be, okay?
Now, when you ask questions, you'll have to talk really loud because there's no mic out there, right?
Right.
Oh, someone talk loud.
All right. Well, this is. You thought this was going to be a Tien and Frezia voice off. Well, guess what? It's the voice off is amongst all of you. Whoever's the loudest gets to ask the questions, because otherwise we won't hear you. As Vivian said, I'm John Burgmeier. This is
His mom,
the mom.
Linda Young.
I've done voices for Tien and Dragon Ball Z, Ramen Yu Hakusho, Shigure, Fruits Basket, lots of other stuff along the way.
And I've done Frezia, Baba, Fasha, Dragon Ball Z, Genkai Yu Yu Hakusho, Poorly Yusuka Grandy, Fairy Tale, and the newest one I'm doing now is Faust in Once Upon a Witch's Death, which is a really good little show.
Well, all right.
Anyway, we do lots of other voices too. We're in a lot of the same shows and we don't even know it.
That should conclude the career retrospective portion of the panel. We don't have a moderator. There's no agenda here. What do you guys want to talk about?
There's a question in the back. A favorite insult that I say to Goku?
Oh no.
Let's see. Do I have a favorite or do I have a favorite? My favorite is nice, clean, and easy. You stupid Saiyan monkey!
Now you've done it.
Watch it, Tien. Even though you have 3 eyes, you'll never see me coming.
You see what I mean? She won't stop now. This is the rest of the show, folks.
How did y'all become like Frezia and Tien? Like, what did y'all do? Did y'all audition for it? Did someone like call you to do it?
Well, I did audition. I went in when they first came to the United States, and they had an open audition, which I don't think they have ever anymore. That was probably the only open audition. And one of my friends called me and asked me if I wanted to go to the audition with her, and I really didn't feel like going because I was cleaning the house and I'd have to get all ready, but then she talked me into going because she wanted to go to lunch. So we went to this audition and we had to imitate several voices, and then that was it. We went in a little booth, did the voices they wanted us to imitate, said the lines they wanted us to say, and then left. And then a few weeks later, Chris Sabat called me and told me they wanted me to voice the role of Frezia. And that's how I got the role of Frezia, and I did not even know what Frezia was.
So there you go. She got the part because she wanted to have lunch with her friend.
Yep.
I also participated in these same open auditions. I went in and my audition, like Mom says, you had to try to imitate the existing voices for the characters. And I went in and I'd had an opportunity to practice a little bit the night before. And I read for the parts of Piccolo, Vegeta, and Yamcha. The man running my audition that time that I met for the first time that day was a guy by the name of Chris Sabat.
Yep.
So those of you who know that name know that I didn't actually get any of those parts. So he said thank you and sent me on my way. We had an opportunity to introduce ourselves and realized that we had a lot of friends in common that we had never met. Flash forward sometime later, after Mom had already been voicing for like a season of Frezia, she was in the session one day and learned that there was a job opportunity for an audio engineer in the studio at Funimation. And the studio at Funimation at that time, of course, was a storage closet in the back of a larger storage room in the basement of a bank building. Very small company. And so she learned that there was a job opening while she was in one of her sessions one day.
And I said, my son can do that.
So I came home that night with a message on my answering machine, for those of you who remember what those were.
Yep.
From Chris Sabat. Said, John, this is Chris Sabat. Your mom was in here, and there's a job opening, and you should turn in an application. Bye. I was like, oh, okay. I'll do that. So I turned in an application. Skip to the end. I got a job. How did I get to be a voice actor? I got a job as an audio engineer. So when little bit parts and whatnot needed to be recorded, I was in the room. They said, gosh, we need somebody to voice this man on the street. Oh, look, there's Burgmeier. Burgmeier, get in the booth. So it started there. And then eventually an opportunity came to try out for Tien and then to audition in the process for Karama and all of the others that followed. So, the moral of the story, I guess, is being in the room is 90% of the battle. Showing up is 90% of
Also,
success.
John was head writer for quite a while.
That came after.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. Also,
So
also
he
true.
wore lots of hats.
Also true. Well, apparently we
Okay.
answered that question so well that we've answered all future questions in addition.
What was your favorite memory playing the characters?
Wow.
Favorite memory? I think the first day I went in and found out what Frezia was and played around, and then they told me, you've got to be meaner. And I did get meaner, and it was so much fun.
What is my
I know it's
my favorite?
when Mom got me into Funimation.
That's right. My favorite memory was riding Mom's coattails into the Funimation building. One of my favorite memories of that time period was when the show Fruits Basket came through Funimation. For anyone who knows Fruits Basket, right? It tends to be fairly well known, so I hope you all know it. That was after Dragon Ball Z. That might have been like the 4th or 5th show that we had ever worked on. So, you know, we were all still very, I don't know, careful about it and wanting to, you know, put our best efforts into it and everything. It was kind of a big deal. It's like, oh, we're getting another new show. That's great. Now they bring them in by the truckload. Every 3 months they bring a dump truck full of anime shows and pour it into the Crunchyroll studios, and it's kind of not a big deal. But in those days, getting a new show was like, wow, we got another one. So they were going through the audition process for Fruits Basket, and Justin Cook, who, of course, those of you who know Yu Yu Hakusho know who Justin Cook is. He was directing Fruits Basket at the time. He was running the auditions, and he came in to me after a little bit, and I was working in the studio in my little office for the writers' room. And he poked his head in and he said, "Hey John, are you gonna read for any of these Fruits Basket parts?" And I said, "Yes I am." And he said, "Oh, okay. Well, do you want to come do that now?" And I said, "Okay." How long are you running those auditions? He's like, "Well, I'm going to do them for a couple more days." I said, "I'll tell you what. I want to go last." He's like, "Oh, okay. Who are you going to read for?" I'm reading for him. And I pointed to Shigure. I was like, I'm gonna go last because I want everyone else to have a chance. And it was like the cockiest thing I ever did. But I had never been more sure of anything in my life. And I was like looking at that roles. I was like, that guy right there, I got this. And sure enough, you know, I walked in there, and when I read for it, they were like, "Huh, yeah, you got this." It was, I don't know. It was like. It's a favorite memory because it was a very uncharacteristically cocky thing for me to do that just happened to work out. So it's like, wow, I don't know what was going on there, but it was kind of neat.
It was meant to be.
Sort of, maybe.
Up there.
Do you have any projects that you were really proud of that didn't really get a lot of traction after they were out?
Oh. Most of them? No, I mean, there were a lot of things that we worked on that, I mean, especially in those early days that we just really, like, poured our heart and souls into. Like, one of the other early titles that we worked on after Dragon Ball Z was this, like, dark dystopian sci-fi show called Blue Gender. I mean, we really pulled out the stops for that. We were like, okay, we gotta like really just make this script perfect and just get these top-notch performances on here. And it's like, with all of the shows at that time, you have to understand, we were aiming, like, the goal was to get it on TV, to get it on like a network channel somewhere. So we were trying to like really raise the quality of the dub to a point where it could pass muster on a network. So Blue Gender we poured our heart and souls into. There's an old show called Katie Gray that we poured our heart and souls into. Old show called Salty Ray. Like so many in those days that we just really gave it everything we had, and they just kind of, you know, fizzled when they went out into the world. Yeah. But to this day, I love them all, you know, very dearly still.
I mean, I guess I'm the same. I guess one thing was we did, during Dragon Ball Z, we did an episode of Dr. Slump, and I voiced a Raleigh, and that was really fun and really cute, and I wish we would have done more episodes. So I guess that would be mine.
Okay.
They did again? But what? I can't.
You forgot them, but you forgot when that they remade it?
Yeah, I know they did remake it.
I wonder who remade it.
What's that?
Maybe Japan? Yeah. Oh. Well, Crunchyroll never picked it up.
Perhaps not.
I saw Raleigh and Super. That means we're probably Brazil.
A what? A Raleigh? Not on Super, no.
She made a little cameo in Super when Goku was in the transmission.
Did what?
When Goku was trying to
She did make a little cameo on Super, yeah.
get to King Kai, and someone else, they never said it. Sorry, not me. But Raleigh made me think of that one cameo. Sorry.
Yes.
Do you guys have a particular like storyline or maybe episode like going dragonball that you guys hold like more special than others? You know what I mean? Like, do you have a particular moment or episode that you enjoy doing more?
Me personally, the entirety of just the Cell arc of Dragon Ball Z, from the moment of when Mecha Frieza returns and Trunks appears from the future, all the way for the however many episodes that is, it's a lot, to where they, defeat Cell and Goku supposedly passes the mantle on to Gohan. Like that whole arc right there, I was very heavily involved with a lot of the scripting and stuff. So I was very close to the material. But I just think from a storytelling standpoint, like that arc just rocks. It's a really, really well done like story and really cool characters, and I don't know, that's like Dragon Ball at its peak right there. And then everything else is, still cool, but there's awesome moments. But that as a whole arc, it just kind of had everything for me.
I don't think I really have a favorite one. Unless it's when I defeat Goku. Yeah, I don't really. People always ask me if I have a favorite, but I don't think I do. I don't even have a favorite line. Because Frezia has so many good lines that I just don't have any favorites.
What's your favorite Frieza form?
Oh, form? I like the fourth a lot. But I also like the first, because that's how I was introduced to Frezia and got to know Frezia. So, those two.
So you first.
Where does the voice of Frezia come from? What's the inspiration?
The character? You mean the voice?
Yeah, the voice of the Frezia. What's your inspiration or what influences?
Okay, well, the voice, as we were saying when we went in to audition, they had voice samples for us to try to imitate. And the voice was very raspy, and I could put the rasp in my voice. So at first it was mostly getting the rasp in my voice, and that's where the voice came from. And then as time went on, I got to know who Frezia was and what Frezia did. I could bring in all the sarcasm and the laughter and all that kind of stuff. So I guess my inspiration would be the Canadian actor, right?
Sure.
Because she's who I had to kind of sound like at first. Because those were the voices when we went in that they had us listen to, were the Canadian actors, the ocean dub. And we had to try to sound as much like them as we could. Because they wanted people not to notice, right?
Yeah, that was the idea, is that they wanted to recast as seamlessly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course is difficult to do and caused a lot of controversy at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
It seems to have turned out okay.
For Frezia and Genkai,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything you wanted to say but you didn't, or was told you couldn't?
No, because, well, we don't get to, I mean, there's no ad-libbing or anything like that. We just go by the script. Now, if the script somehow doesn't fit some of the flaps, they'll make a little change and they can ask us sometimes, do you have any ideas? But we can't really.
There wasn't any insults or anything that you wanted to say?
Oh, I'm sure there were. I'm sure there were, but I had to just follow the script. But there were plenty of insults in the script, actually. And especially for Genkai. I mean, I could think of some more things. Of course, John says that I used to tell him, don't make me come there and slap you upside the head.
I blocked those memories out.
He made them up. We were in a panel one time, he's like, oh yeah, Mom always did that to me.
She was always threatening me with her final form.
Have y'all ever watched Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and if so, what do y'all think of it?
I've just seen bits of it.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces. I think I've met a couple of those guys at one time or another at a convention. What do I think of it? I think they're very funny guys.
I do too. I think it's hilarious.
Most challenging role you've ever had as a voice actor?
I know mine. It was on, what's that show? It's Golden Camoy? Golden Camp. It's C-A-M-Y, I think, but you say it different. Jeremy called me in to do a role on that. And he said, that's when he said, it's going to be in a different language.
Oh.
And he said, it's one of the languages that only probably about 25 people speak now, in Japan. He said usually they send along a script and they block out the lines you have to say phonetically, but they didn't do that. I said, okay. He said, and they usually send a tape that you can listen to closely and figure out how you have to say it, but they didn't. So he said, you're going to just have to listen to the little, the Japanese thing we have and imitate it. So I go, okay. So I got out the single lines. They were okay. I was doing pretty good. And all of a sudden it came up to this paragraph, and I thought, oh. So I listened to this paragraph, and I'm like, I just can't get my mind wrapped around all the words. And so I try, and I go, oh, let me try again. He goes, want to come in for another session? I go, let me try one more time. And all of a sudden it came out. It was like I was someone else speaking. It was so weird, but that language came out of me. I can't even tell you what I said or what it was like now, but that was the most challenging, definitely. But yet, it was really rewarding when you actually did that.
Yep.
It was kind of like, wow.
The most challenging thing for me typically is, or one of the most challenging things for me is, and this is fresh on my mind, is anytime I'm called in to reprise I hesitate to call it voice, but the role of the Cyberman from Dragon Ball Z, which that was, a thing where the Cybermen just showed up. They show up for whatever it is, like a half an episode, and we were going back and re-recording the original few episodes of Dragon Ball Z to make the cast seamless between the Canadian cast and the Texas cast. We were doing completing all of the episodes with the Texas cast, and our boss Barry got to those episodes with the Cybermen, and he was like, I need a good creature sound. So he started walking around the office and just asking, various people around the office as he did, he's like, "You have good creature noise? You have good creature noise? You have good creature noise?" He got to me, and he's like, "Do you have a good creature noise?" I'm like, "You're in." So I went into the studio, and I just went, and it was like 10 minutes, and we were done. Now flash forward to the future, and all of a sudden Dragon Ball Z video games coming in. And for whatever reason, the Cybermen are a character that come back in every one of these video games.
A lot.
So I get the call once a year or however long it is. I mean, I get this call out of the blue, and it's like, "Hey, John, we need you." "What are we doing?" "Cyberman." So I'm gonna have to go in there, and I'm gonna have to do that to myself for a couple hours straight. And to this day, I don't know how to do it without just completely wrecking myself. So it's funny that it keeps coming back, but challenging, even after all these years. What?
The Dragon Ball wish.
That Tien was the main character. Burn.
My wish?
2 inches, right?
No, that's silly. That I'm the only one left in Dragon Ball. So it's called Frezia.
You can't rule an empire that has nothing in it.
Frezia can do anything.
That's right. Tien knows.
I'm sorry, what do you do the Saiyans again?
Sorry.
What?
Yes, you.
So, real quick, what led to the ultimate decision between the switch of voices between Z and Super? And then speaking of Super, John, is there anything upcoming in the future? Any projects that
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I can only assume that with the enormous success that Super had, that there's no way they would just let it sit forever without bringing it back. And the fact that they came out with that superhero movie recently suggests that they've still got plans for it. My understanding, which I'm fairly out of the behind-the-scenes loop at this point, but my understanding is that it was one of those things where they are waiting for the manga to move far enough ahead that they can just animate a really big chunk of episodes all at the same time without outrunning the manga. So when will they have enough manga to initiate this project? I don't know. But one of these days, it seems inevitable that it will be back.
And I was Frezia for 10 years, and then they decided they wanted to use a male voice and go a different way with Frezia, like Frezia's personality and everything. It was a little different, a little more regal, and that's what happened. And then actually, it was sad, but Chris passed away, and Damon was his understudy, and Damon sometimes had to come in and do Chris's voice if Chris was too sick. So then when Chris did pass away, which we were all very sad about, then Damon took over the role. That's how that worked. But now I still do voice Baba in all of Dragon Ball, even Super. So the last Super, Baba was talking to Frezia, and I kept wanting to do Frieza's voice. It was the weirdest thing. I had to like hold back so much. It was just odd. But that's the story on that.
They did really well. It's just growing up. It's just a little different.
Yes.
They're gonna get used to it, but thank you.
Uh-huh.
Young man.
Favorite form? My favorite form? The fourth form, I like a lot because he's really, I don't know, sinister, and he's can move quickly, and I like that form a lot. But as I said earlier, the first form I like because that's how I found out about Frezia. When I first went to the voice booth and voiced Frezia, I got to know Frezia through the first form.
What's y'all's opinion on Cooler?
Oh, please, don't even mention that.
Do you wish
He's not Cooler.
Canon?
I said he's not Cooler. Tien's even cooler than Cooler.
Speaking of Freeze's extended family, that was one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z lines of all time. King Cold. And oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the name of the actor who played him. It was Brad. Was it Brad something?
It was getting you with it.
Oh wait.
It was getting you with it.
Who did?
It's escaping me, but
Does anyone know who voiced?
It was the guy that kept getting you with it. I thought it was Captain Ginyu.
in those days, no. In those days, the guy who did Captain Ginyu was a guy named Dale Kelly.
And then Bryce Anderson.
Bryce Armstrong.
Bryce Armstrong, there we go.
Oh wait, he also did the dad, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But King Cold was
He wasn't Bryce?
Brad Jackson.
Oh,
Thank you.
I don't remember. I don't
That's
even
not the
remember
point of the
that.
story, but it's such a throwaway line. But I think he did it in the audition, and as soon as he did the line, it was like Chris and I were in the audition at the time. We were like, that's it. That's the part. But it's when they come down and they get out of the ship and all the Z fighters are there to meet them. Frieza says something along the lines of Goku, it's you, and he just, what's a Goku?
Oh yeah.
And that there's little things that just get stuck in your memory and live there forever. That's a line that just lives rent free in my head for 25 years.
Plus, he had a great voice.
What's a Goku?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any more questions?
The man in Frieza's final formal wear, please stand up.
This is my formal.
Do you have a question, good sir?
What is y'all's, for both of you, favorite line of your Dragon Ball character?
See, I don't have one. There's too many good ones. I can tell you my husband's favorite line. Pop goes the weasel. What's yours?
Gosh, I don't know.
See?
I don't.
We're an indecisive family.
I mean, but how do you pick?
I know. How do you?
What about a vibe that you guys get the most from fans, from people
Stupid monkey.
Well, I mean, yeah. Anyone who's requesting something from Tien, it's usually try beam. Ha!
What was it like voicing Loki?
Who is Loki?
Loki in DxD.
It was the most awesome experience of my life.
Was it different?
It was fun.
From your other roles?
I mean, well, sure, they're all different. But but that was fun in the sense that it feels like in the last few years, it seems like a lot of the characters I get called in to play are bad guys. And I feel like Loki might have been one of the first bad guys that sort of began that trend. So it was really interesting in that regard, and I got to, try out some attitudes that I don't usually get to throw out in some of the more calm, cool, collected characters that I tended to play, up to that point. But since that time, when I get called in, it's often to be, playing a villain. And I'm like, well, why do they keep calling me to play these villains? I mean, I guess because ever since
you're the son of a villain.
Ever since Loki, it was like, well, John's a good villain. And then I have to ask myself, why am I a good villain? And I think the answer might be, I'm just a villain.
I said you're the son of a villain. What do you expect?
The apple does not fall far from. But it was good to be bad.
It is. It's fun. It's fun to be a villain.
What was your least favorite character to play?
Least favorite?
Least favorite character.
I don't think anyone's ever asked that before.
I can't say a least favorite character because I just enjoy the opportunity anytime I get to go in and record and have a lot of fun with it. I can tell you what my least favorite recording sessions are. Is on a number of occasions I've been called in, or used to be called in to participate in what we call Wallace sessions. And that's when you're doing just like background chatter and whatnot to fill a scene. And they stick 3 or 4 actors in the booth at the same time. And the director's like, okay, you're a crowd on the street. There's an accident has just happened over here. You're milling about, looking at the scene. Ready? Go. And so they would, we would start, and it's like, okay, so I'm on the street, and I'd be like, oh my, an accident. And that's as far as I would get, because the other actors around me, like within seconds, had created like these characters with backstories and like this drama in their lives, and they were spewing out this like Shakespearean dialogue. They're like amazing and like having conversations back and forth, like this fully fleshed scene. And I'm just, after my one line, I'm like, wow, these people are really good at what they do, and just stunned into silence. And so I ended up just, after the first or second take, I get, John, you could actually say something too. So, I those are my least favorite sessions because I learned that I am terribly bad at improv compared to the people who are good at it, and they don't call me for this.
I really don't think I have a least favorite character. I just can't think of. I can't think of any that I didn't enjoy voicing. That's a hard question. I'd have to really think about it. I have to go back and look at all the characters and see.
Are there any specific parts or lines that you're embarrassed by?
Probably. We probably don't even know it. We probably never even saw it or something.
That's a good question.
I'm sure there are.
I have the benefit when you've been doing this for for as long as we have. The nice thing is that after 25 years, the vast majority of lines you've ever spoken, you've probably forgotten. So all the embarrassing stuff has been left by the wayside. I don't really recall.
I guess if there's anything embarrassing, a little bit would be, you know how when they would just pull us into a part? And they just pulled me in and said, you're going to do fascia. I had no idea what she was doing. So I don't really like the way I read it. But then when I went back to do the games, I was able to change her voice a little and make it more like I knew who she was and what she was. So that kind of, maybe that's a little embarrassing, yeah. Because I think I made her sound like a dumb blonde or something.
So John mentioned kind of the differences in feeling when he's voicing a good guy versus voicing a villain. How was it the feeling of voicing Frezia versus voicing Genkai?
Well, they're both sassy, of course. But with Frezia, it was just all about Frezia. I mean, everything came from I'm the greatest. But with Genkai, there were so many more emotions, there's so much more to her, so it more came from her heart. Even if she was disciplining, even if she sounded mean, it was really coming from her heart to ultimately do good. Why Frezia was to ultimately do bad.
I think we have time for maybe one more. Oh.
Do you play any of the games like the Takeichi games?
The first one I played, and I probably dabbled in the second one, but I have my prime video game playing days are probably behind me. But from what I understand, Tien gets probably more love from the video games than he gets from the series. He's a contender in the video games, which I appreciate.
I never played any games, and John can tell you, when I tried to play games with them, even Rebecca, when you were younger, I was terrible at it. I remember one time you guys went to bed, and I just stayed there in front of those games trying to figure it out, trying to do better. Yeah, I'm just not good
So
at
when
it.
she realized she couldn't win, she smashed the machine. She said, "If I can't win, no one will."
Thanks for not telling them I smashed it over your head. Kidding.
We'll try to squeeze in one quick one if it's a quick one.
Speaking of Cybermen and games, did you have to do multiple voices for Xenoverse 2? For like the 8 different Cybermen they have?
If there are 8 different Cybermen in that game, that's news to me. They all sound the same. They're genetically identical, and they just have me make
They use this voice for all 8.
Yeah, I probably those squeaky weird burpy noises. That's all me. I excel at squeaky weird burpy noises. All right, folks. I think we got to wrap it up, but we'll try.
Oh, of course. It was so nice of you all to come to see me. But now goodbye, monkeys.
Thank you, everybody.